Hello there, YouTube. It's been longer than I intended between videos, by quite a long way. I was getting into the swing of videos, and then I stopped posting right after posting the Israel-Palestine war video. That wasn't intentional. It didn't help, but it wasn't intentional. What ended up happening is I was so unwell. Hello, you. It's just peering over. She's been lying on the radiator behind the sofa. She seems to like it there. I've been unwell. My fatigue levels seem to just skyrocket. Right when I feel like I'm getting into the swing of things, my fatigue levels skyrocket. And I spent a lot of time just unable to really do much of anything. So, when I put that video up, and then I got not necessarily a positive or a negative response, I got very little response, actually. What response I did get, it got a couple of views. I think it's just on 150 views, something like that. It's not a popular video. It's nothing close to any of the most popular videos I've done where they've got thousands of views. But it's not so unpopular that it's not even cracked 3 figures, which I do have some videos like that. The thing is, it's got less than 200 views, and yet I have had multiple death threats and repeated, for some reason since I posted that video, repeated hacking attempts on my Google account. When I say it is repeated, I really mean it. I was gonna show you the list of notifications. What I'm actually gonna do is going to show you a picture I've taken of them, because I don't want to actually show the notifications, and you'll see why. There we are. Right. That is just one example of how bad it got at the end of last month. It's been continuing through November. I am getting notifications. Your Google verification code is this, because I have 2-factor authentication on my account. Someone is hacking into my account. They have managed to get my password. I've changed it. They've managed to get it again. I've changed it again. And they've managed to get it a 3rd time. So it doesn't matter what my password is. They will get my password. And it takes them about 3 days to get my password. And then they will repeatedly try to hack it multiple times a day. If they found a way past the 2-factor authentication, they'd be in my account. They'd probably have shut down my YouTube channel. They'd likely have raided my Gmail. They'd probably steal from my bank account as well. But they don't, because I'm not an idiot when it comes to the internet. I actually keep things secure. I use 2-factor authentication. I use VPNs whenever I'm doing anything that requires a financial transaction. I'm smart about how I do things. I use things like the Brave browser to avoid scripts and advertising, and I've even used Tor in the past so that I can go completely anonymous if I'm setting up anything where I'm purchasing anything. Where there's some sites where if it knows where you're shopping from, it'll change the price. So using browsers like Tor, where it completely anonymizes everything, really, really helpful in that regard. Online security, really, really good. Something that is pushed a lot. You probably see adverts for VPN services all the time on YouTube. They are largely unnecessary for most people, but if you're making any kind of controversial, or even, I say controversial, even mainstream obvious opinions that happen to offend extremists, anything like that, you want to be protecting yourself online, because, as I've proven, I got less than 200 views, and at least one fucking maniac in that is already trying to hack my accounts. So, this is what happens when you speak out against extremists and terrorists. You end up with a psychopath trying to hunt you down. But yeah, that aside, I'm glad to be making videos again. Like I say, I stopped making videos. I became overwhelmed by fatigue and migraines, and I got overworked trying to set up a few things. So when it comes to actually making videos, things just stopped. Like, I stopped posting my my reading videos on my Booktube channel, which I don't quite know why I stopped doing that. I had a couple of them already pre-recorded. I just hadn't edited them. So I've got videos for my 1984 and my Liza Lochlamora series. I need to restart Terminal World. So I made a video for it, and then I got wrapped into other books. Hello, you. Oh, you jumping down, are you? Are you going for your dinner? Okay. You can go get it. It's okay. You're allowed to jump down. I think she's a little confused because the camera's in the way between her and her bowl. She's not sure if she's allowed to jump down. Yeah? Ooh. There you go. You don't have to worry about the camera. Right, anyway, she gave it a bit of a sniff, decided she didn't want to eat it anyway, and ran off. You coming for a cuddle? Yeah. I don't think she knows what she wants. To be fair, I'm probably confusing her a little bit, because the time at the moment is only 5:45 in the morning. I woke up at 4 a.m. and I feel really awake, and I'm making a vlog at the moment. So that gives you an idea as to just what kind of mental state I'm in and the kind of energy I'm giving off. She's probably confused as all hell. What the hell am I doing even awake? I'm never awake at this time. The video for Israel, I mean, as you can tell from my t-shirt, I support Israel and their right to defend themselves. As you can tell from the t-shirt, I'm not backing down. Right, this is not a case of a difference of opinion. This isn't a case of people believing something and needing to come together and reach a compromise. No, this is terrorists murdered thousands, kill the fucking terrorists. Simple as that. I mean, this is more clear-cut than when Russia invaded Ukraine. Like, Russia invaded Ukraine under false pretenses, but at least they had the good fucking graces to invent a reason to invade. At least they pretended they were getting rid of extremist Nazis and liberating an area that had declared itself independent. At least they bothered to fake it. Hamas just decided to slaughter innocent people and then just start a war. They are being wiped out for a damn good reason, because they're terrorists and we need to. Hello. Yeah. Are you back up there now? Are you going to settle down here? Or do you want to come and cuddle? Come on then. Oh yeah. Well, come on then. Come on. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh. Oh. There you go. There we go. There we go. You happy now? Yeah? I'm confusing you, aren't I? Because I'm up at a weird time. One thing I have been doing. Yeah, it's okay, love. I'm talking to the camera. Yeah. Now, one thing I have been doing in the last few days is I've been using the Tornado Shorts account, which is one that I set up a while ago to post short, 1 minute long daily vlogs. just to get myself in the habit of keeping myself to account and keeping a track of what's going on. Like, I know it's kind of frivolous to go on and say, oh yeah, I've done some writing today and I played this video game and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. It's a bit frivolous, but it feels good to get out there and just have that moment of reflection, just that moment of this is what I've done or this is what I'm doing, and I'm sharing it with you guys. It's nice to have that, even if it's only on a very superficial level. But it also means that I feel that there's still that connection, that little... Yeah, well, your claws stuck. There we go. There's still that little connection, that little tie to the channels to keep me ticking over. Because, like I say, I didn't post anything for like 2 weeks, and I don't like doing that because once you get out of the habit of posting, you can stop posting for quite a while, and then you'll find that you don't have the time. You've filled the time that you would have used to make and edit and record these videos with other tasks, and now they're taking precedence, and you just don't have the energy to find more free time. So I wanted to keep that window just slightly ajar. That's what those were for. And I'm going to keep doing them because I'm enjoying doing them, even if they are kind of frivolous and silly. I like posting the daily vlog, and you get a quick snapshot of my day, which is kind of pedestrian, but it's fine. I do have a few other things I want to talk about, and a few other videos I want to make in the next few days. And now that I've set my camera up and I've started recording again, I feel like I can start chugging along with those. I want to start making the book videos again, and I want to make a follow-up video to the Israel thing about extremism and politics in general. Look, love, if you keep letting your claws out, you're going to get them stuck in my t-shirt. We really do need to clip your claws, don't we? There we go. Right. But other than that, I've got a couple of things that I'm working on at the moment, and they're coming along quite well. I've been writing consistently for the last few weeks. Not just the last few weeks, the last 6 months, if anything. I've been writing consistently for my tabletop role-playing system. And that's something that I'm excited to get out and push forwards. Every time I feel like it's almost ready, I have this brainwave, or I have a conversation with someone and we brainstorm something, and suddenly there's a new mechanic that we want to work in, and something else needs a tweak, and then everything else has changed. Like, we suddenly changed the magic system, and with the change to the magic system, every single spell needed to be rewritten. So I was doing that, and then midway through doing that, I quickly realised that I was going to have to rewrite them all again, ever so slightly, because we changed the initiative system and how actions would happen in combat. So by going through that, we now need to make sure that the spells worked, because originally the spells were described by actions, and you had a set number of actions per round. Now there are unlimited actions per round, but the number of actions you can take depend on the length of time in ticks for each action, and how high you roll on initiative to determine how many ticks you can spend in that turn. So it's now a completely different system. It's so unrecognisable as anything even remotely D&D inspired that it's its own system by leaps and bounds now. Even things that were not D&D, like the whole 3-action system was taken largely from Pathfinder and changed around from there, but now that's been abandoned for something completely original. The spell system. Originally, the spell system looked more and more like D&D because it had spell levels and spell slots and things like that. And then we got rid of spell slots, but we still had the spell levels and similar spell descriptions. Now we don't have the spell levels anymore. Instead, the spells have the same proficiency, expertise, mastery system that the skills have, which ties them in together with the skill system, and has created a completely new system that, as far as I know, no other game has. So this is now completely original. The system is so disconnected from what it was. There are a few terms that are the same, but they're all terms that are terms from like the D20 SRD that aren't owned by Wizards of the Coast. Like, we still have a rogue, and we still have certain abilities. Like, there's an ability called Uncanny Dodge, but it doesn't work anything close to how it works in D&D. It just happens to share the name. That kind of thing. So there's a few things, like a few spells or a few abilities that share names, but other than them having the same name, they are completely different. They work completely differently. Like, they have the same concept, and that's about it. And it's making me very excited to finish it, because it is a new system. And we've play-tested iterations of this system over the last few months, and it worked well. And then more things have changed, so we're going to have to play-test more. But that's all interesting. That's all fun. It's great to get down into the nitty-gritty and work out how the system works and actually play it. Because a lot of people theory craft tabletop role-playing, and theory crafting is not as good as playing. Like, I went through it with a few people, and people said that my original initiative and action system, before we switched it up for this new version, which is even more streamlined and even faster, the original one, people said it looked clunky, it seemed confusing, it had way too many moving parts, and it was likely to be very hard to track. And then we played it, and it was elegant, and it moved fast, and everyone felt like they could act when they wanted to, instead of having to wait for their turn, like you do in games like D&D and Pathfinder. So it actually worked entirely how it was intended to work, which was beautiful. I love that that's how it fit together. So I'm quietly confident that once everything's been put together, it's going to feel even better. She's back on the radiator again. She's you can just about see an ear, I think. But yeah, she's a bit restless. But again, it's probably because I'm up ridiculously early. The other thing that I'm doing, which honestly, it's one of those things where announcing this is less announcing any projects and more the intention to have projects. Myself and a few of the guys on the Gilded have decided that we want to actually make stuff. Not just this tabletop role-playing game, which they are involved in the playtesting, but also we've been talking on these groups, off and on since I think late 2018 or beginning of 2019, around that time anyway. So it's been a good few years. We've known each other for 4 years minimum. And we've been chatting and, such backwards and forwards. When the group originally started, it was a video game discussion group on Facebook. And it was an offshoot of a different video game discussion group, which had around 150 members. And the owner was a delusional psychopath who thought that posting constant rants about how Ubisoft sucks and how anything the FromSoft touches was gold would somehow change the games industry, and he could call boycotts and everyone would have to listen to him, and all that kind. The kind of person. The kind of person who's got such an inflated sense of self that they genuinely believe that what they do and say matters. In the same kind of way that you could accuse me of if I wasn't incredibly aware of the fact that I'm throwing these videos out into the void, where me and about a dozen people I know watch them and no one else gives a fuck. I am very, very aware of that. Even when I get a video that does 1,000 views or 5,000 views, I know it's a flash in the pan thing that's just happened out of sheer chance. I know I'm not a big deal on the internet. What I do know is I've got this tiny community of a dozen regulars and about 24 people who show up 2 or 3 times a year for a chat. And I like that community. And I'm fine with it being just that. But whilst, I like that that's my community online, I do have aspirations to do other things. But my disability gets in the way, my chronic fatigue, my migraines, I can't even keep the upload schedule on YouTube going. So, what does this mean? Well, it means that if I'm going to work on something, it needs to be something I can work on piecemeal. And we got chatting, and we were saying, 4 years ago, and we were chatting around on Facebook, and then we moved to Discord, and now we've moved to Gilded. We've talked backwards and forwards. Different groups have joined. We had an influx of people who were there to talk about Booktube and books. We had an influx of people that were there to talk about Warhammer and tabletop gaming. And over time, they've all left, and we've still got that core of a few people who have been there from the beginning. And we were chatting and saying, we were talking about how if we got together and we started writing, we could do a video game blog site where we made our own gaming reviews, we did our own games journalism, things like that. We could influence the industry that way if we could make it big enough. After all, there's plenty of critics at the time. Jim Sterling was pretty big before he lost his marbles, decided he was a woman and started dressing like a clown. Before that happened, he was getting bigger and bigger every day, and he was influencing the industry. So there's always the chance that one person can do that kind of thing if they put their mind to it. And we had a couple of people with a little bit of background in journalism, a couple of people with background in English literature and language studies, that media studies, that kind of thing, and a couple of people who knew a little bit about programming. So we had enough expertise there that we could start talking about these things with at least some level of professionalism and become an independent journalism site. And then we never did. My health got worse. I never really followed through. So we kind of stayed there just chatting occasionally and posting memes and just being a community. And that was fine. And then we got talking recently and we decided, well, let's skip the whole making reviews and being critics, things like that. I mean, I'm still going to do that kind of thing on YouTube anyway. I'm still going to post my thoughts and feelings. But that's just going to be me posting for my benefit. Instead, we're like, why don't we just make our own games? Why don't we skip out the middleman? Instead of criticising what other people are making, why don't we just make what we want? Why don't we become an indie development team? We've got enough knowledge of computer programming that we know the basics, and we can start from there. And if we're making something in a popular engine, there's so many tutorials and things like that out there. So we decided that we'd take this seriously. Now, we may decide in 3 months' time that it's not really working for us, we don't have any great ideas, and we might close it all down, and we might move on to something else. And if that happens, we gave it a shot, and we didn't come up with any great ideas, and oh well. But if we do have a great idea, if we do manage to put something together, then we can work on it in our spare time, we can put something together, and we can hopefully have something worth showing off, something worth playing, even if it's just a little indie game. And then if that works, we could maybe get some crowdfunding to make a bigger project and see where it leads from there. So I've incorporated. I am now the Managing Director and CEO of Excessive Detail Ltd. So yeah, this is officially a company. I suppose this is the boardroom, and my office, and the staff room, and the cafeteria. This wasn't really well thought out, was it? But no, in all seriousness, I have registered a company. So the company exists now. It is registered. It is trademarked. Everything is set up. Excessive Detail Ltd is now a non-trading company because we're not really trading. We're not doing anything at the moment. We're not paying anyone to do anything. We're just a bunch of people volunteering our time and ideas when we've got a spare moment. But it's somewhere we can put trademarks. It's somewhere we can put copyrights. And once we're ready to start doing something, once we're ready to start fundraising, we've got a separate legal entity that can handle that money, and that can be its own thing. So yeah, Excessive Detail is a company. And if we're lucky, maybe, just maybe, we'll be publishing our own games, and perhaps, given that I've been writing this tabletop RPG, maybe I'll be publishing my own tabletop RPG book. There are plenty of things we could do. I'm a massive fan of platformers, and it seems that that's where we're going at the moment, is we're going to try and make a platformer or two, and see if we can make something that works. Like, it'll be proof of concept, something very simple, just to see what we can make, and then if we get a decent proof of concept, we'll try and make it into a full-fledged game that we could sell. Then there's also, like, the RPG Maker style RPGs. With that, we could make a traditional old-style top-down JRPG, and I've always loved those. I've been a Final Fantasy fan for, well, basically my whole life. So that would be a lot of fun. And we've already got a ready-built system and setting because we've been writing and playtesting a tabletop RPG. So we've already got classes, we've already got a world setting, we've already got a magic system. We just need to convert that from tabletop into video game. So we've got our first setting, we've got our first IP without even needing to try. We could even have platformers in the same IP. There's nothing to say that you couldn't have one of the platformers be a warrior from this fantasy tabletop game cutting through, hordes of goblins and undead and, demons and things like that as part of a 2D platformer. Those platformers do fairly well. So we've got our first IP, and it's basically my world that I've been writing for years that I've just kind of solidified around this tabletop RPG. And maybe, with any luck, we'll be able to make something worthwhile out of it. I want to do some creative endeavours, because, as I say, I'm approaching 40 now, and my health is not great. It was over a year ago that my dad died, and he was only 62. Which is just not old enough. And it made me realise, if I was to die at the same age, I have 25 years left. It's not a lot. It's not a lot, and if I'm honest, I haven't finished a single project. I mean, this tabletop game that I've been writing, it's not finished. I've got at least 2 novels that are at a position where I'd share them. I've got a couple of other pieces of writing and, a couple of other, half done, half completed or first draft novels that are so bad I would never share them because it was me practicing writing. They're not worth sharing. Trust me, they're not worth it. Every writer will admit that they've got the first novel they wrote and it's in a folder marked "Do not read on pain of death" because it's such utter shaz. It's such utter, complete and total bollocks that no one should ever touch it. It was you learning how to craft prose, and it's badly written. It's conceited, contrived bullshit, and it should never see the light of day. And I've got a few of those. But I've got at least 2 novels that I've been writing for a while now that they're not bad. I like them. I think they do well. But I never finished them. I should. I could self-publish. I mean, the company is listed as a company that does digital media. But digital media could include an ebook. There's no reason it couldn't. So I could publish my books under my company. So there's a lot of things I want to do. I'm still going to be making videos on YouTube. I'm going to question exactly how professional of a company it would be for these YouTube videos to be, because they still use the same name, because it's Excessive Detail Ltd, and these channels are Excessive Detail, and my community is Excessive Detail. So is the community and the channels part of the company? Are they company assets? No, they're mine. I run them, but they are, I'm the sole owner, I'm the sole shareholder and the sole director of the company, so I am the company. But the company is also legally a separate entity. It's hard to know where the line is, but whilst I want the company to be a way for me to legally put out media, and I'd want that media to be able to be non-political and to be opinion-free, for me to just have a creative outlet, I'm still going to have very opinionated videos. It's hard to say, like, are my YouTube videos part of my company endeavours? They're a creative process. When Ben Shapiro made his company, he made Daily Wire, which he has political discussions on, but he's got Bent Key, where he's made TV shows for children, and they're separate because he doesn't want them to be. He doesn't want one to be politicised. I could do that, but I really don't want to incorporate twice. You have to pay fees. It's not cheap. But yeah, it's been interesting anyway. That's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. So I've set that up, and I've got a few creative projects I want to work on. I've got a few things I want to focus on, and I'm glad to be back in front of the camera, properly in front of the camera, not just in front of my phone for a minute each day. So I'll see you guys later. So I'm going to put this up, rambling vlog extraordinaire. I'm going to put this up, and we can talk about something more substantial and more specific in the next video. Now that I'm back in the swing of things, it's nice to be back in the saddle. Yeah. See you later. Bye.